Hyman reporting for SXM Daily News. And we have in our newsroom today Mrs. Brenda Watty, and she is the president of the Real Productions. And you've seen it all on the media about the 7th Lighted Parade. And we can't wait for that. So how lighting up the road going?
Lighting up the road is going well. Saturday we opened up for the first time, which is what we typically do. 2 Saturdays before we open up the office and make sure that we're here to accommodate those that come into town and want to buy shirts. And we sold some good shirts here on Saturday. Yeah. So it's going well. Every time I have an interview or do a piece on Facebook, there's an uptick in sales and in interest. So it's going well. It's going well.
Now it's this year is the Midnight Sun lighting up the road.
Yes.
This is the 7th year, and we know that because of the hurricane, you normally would have it in the month of April, and you had to shift this year.
Yeah.
But you promised your revelers that you would have it this year.
Yeah.
So what's the bit of a pressure to make sure you had it this year?
Well, a promise is a debt. So I promised back in April when we postponed it, I said to everybody that it was just being postponed. And that was really the case. It was a question of everybody, as far as the partners in the lighted parade. It was just a question of letting them catch themselves and get back on footing after the hurricane. So that was done, and here we are in August, and I figure August is a nice time. Other than the August Monday event, there's not too much going on, so it'll give people something to look forward to, especially a parade. I don't think there's ever been a parade in August. And we're getting good feedback for it. So we'll see what this one works out to be, and if it's something that gels, then we'll keep it in August, and if not, we'll put it back to April, where it's been for the last 6 years.
How challenging was it to put it all together? Because we know businesses have been hurting from the hurricane.
Yeah.
People,
Well,
still under this construction mode.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's still the case. But we tried, and that was one of the reasons. That was another reason that I didn't want to do it in April, because we wanted to keep the standard high. So, we've got people, UTS, Caribbean Liquors, that have come on board, that have been on board, I should say, for the last 7 years. Like committed, So and this year we have Nowhere Special that's also come on board as a major corporate sponsor. They came on board just right after we got out the gate. Lillian called and said, she wanted to be part of the lighted parade, and I said, yes, sure, no problem. What do you think? And she says, well, what about your cups? Let's do eco-friendly cups. And I said, that's a fantastic idea, because when you're talking 2,500 people and you're using just the regular cups, that's a lot of cups.
Yeah.
And it's about time, and I've said this in several interviews, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we have to stop talking about it and put it to action. So we got straight to it. She found the source, and I sent her the artwork. She sent me a day later the artwork for approval. It was good to go. The cups are here.
Wow.
So we're done.
Wow. I'm sorry you can't get a peek.
No, I didn't pick them up yet.
Yeah, okay. So tell us, who are we going to have on Saturday evening?
So for Saturday, we've got a bit of everybody, and most recently, I'm sure you've probably seen it in the newspaper. Most recently, we added small acts to the lineup. On Thursday, after I did an interview, I got confirmation from another sponsor that decided they were going to come on board. So we were able to add another musical piece to the parade, and we added small acts. Small acts is very, very popular here in St. Martin.
They just recently.
Yes, they did, but they just recently won, I think, for their carnival in December, with the puppy song. So it's still fresh. So in any event, so we've got Small Acts just joined the lineup, but previous to that we had Destra, the Queen of Bacchanal. That is, she's typically the one on. She's as far as parade performances. That's stuff that she does back home in Trinidad. But this is her first time here at night for the lighted parade, because I did have Destra one year for the day parade many years ago. And anyway, long story short, we also have the King Rummer and King James. They're going to be on board with DJ Outcast, so that's going to also be an interesting lineup for them.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's going to be something for everybody. Those who want to jam with Destra will have their own truck, and then obviously we've got the DJs on their truck, and then behind that will be the small acts.
How much organizing does this take? Because you have to think about the police,
Oh
about the
my
safety,
God.
about the lighting,
Yeah.
about the trucks, about getting approved.
Yeah, it takes a lot of it. Yes, it takes a lot of work. But don't forget, Bev. I mean, we've been doing this now for quite some time. The lighted parade for 7 years, but previous to that, 15 years of day parade, and pretty much it's the same. Pretty much, with the exception of the numbers. You know, the numbers being a lot more for this, whereas day parade you're talking, at my maximum I was at 300 people, so it's certainly a lot more quantity. But then again, we don't serve food, we don't serve the drinks. I mean, if you want a drink, you got to go to the bar and get your drink, which is normal.
I want to see everybody shift. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, shift up. Let me see you shift up. Hi-ya-ya, shift up. I want to see you right now. Shift up. Hi-ya-ya. Gas in the front, no gas in the back. Yes, gas in the front, no gas in the back. Yes, gas in the front, no gas in the back. Run. Shipper, shipper, MBL shipper, shipper. Gas in the front, no gas in the back. Let me see you. Gas in the front, no gas in the back. Gas in the front, no gas in the back. Gas in the front, no gas. Let me see you, shipper.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Has information gone out to clarify what it means to be in a state of emergency and what this actually has to do with their ability to work? I know there was confusion. We read many reports about that. So I think some clarity on that regard would be great. Also, in that, one of the things that we know, of course, obviously water is one of the things on the top of the list when it comes to stocking hurricane supplies. Does government itself have a storage or any type of emergency supplies or plan for acquisition of emergency supplies for themselves, for the civil servants, for the officers, because I remember one of the things that was a little startling on social media was when a meeting took place and there were people looking at the meeting and there were bottles of water, good and dandy for the ministers, but then civil servants downstairs were complaining that when they asked for water, they were told they can't get any. So have we since improved upon that and made sure that all the hard workers within the civil servants also have access to emergency supplies during their own work at the government building? Of course, every person we understand is responsible for their own supplies at home, but during the disaster, we know that civil servants were working sometimes up to 16 hours a day in the government building or on the street with their, as justice officials. So we need to know also from the work side of it, what is government doing for them? Another thing I would like to bring up, Madam Chair, is from the tourism perspective. When a disaster hits, one of the things that we realized is that St. Martin doesn't have an effective inventory at the moment of how many tourists are at the island at any time. Because it was really, literally, you have to call every individual hotel and find out, okay, how many tourists are there, so we have an idea if this is a really bad disaster, how many international people that are here on vacation are we also responsible for as a country. Since then, I remember some recommendations were made to upgrade the information systems with hotels so we can have at least a basic count, even if it's on a week-by-week basis, as to how many tourists are on the island at any time, in particular during the hurricane season. At the very least, if between the months of June and September we can get accurate information, it helps a lot, because we knew of the chaos that took place when people were trying anything possible to get to the airport, very tenuous situation. And if we knew in advance how many people from, for example, the United States on the island, we can contact the United States and see what their plan of approach is in terms of evacuation. But at the time, the information wasn't there, so the United States and other countries were simply coming in blind, hoping they brought enough airlift, and ultimately, from what I saw, there was not sufficient airlift. So, also related to tourism, in terms of messaging, public relations, and the immediate aftermath of a storm, I looked at the disaster management plan that was reviewed by the Ombudsman. I don't know if there's a new version since then, so if it is, and it hasn't been sent to Parliament, it would be great to see an updated version. But the document I'm looking at was published or edited on February the 2nd and was reviewed by the Ombudsman, and did not find information there regarding the procedures and processes for international communication in the aftermath of a disaster. Who is in charge, who speaks to the media. These sort of questions are very important because the world will be watching and worrying what's happening in St. Martin, and we need to have a plan of approach on how to mitigate. Madam Chair, the other thing is, when it comes to our beaches, seaside, the lagoon, what have we really learned? And I think this would be particularly to the Romy Ministry. How do we approach the handling of, let's start with the assessment. The immediate aftermath of the storm, how does the Ministry of Romy assess the status of wrecks in the lagoon, but also at our beaches, damages to the beaches, whether there's any, any debris on our beaches that might prevent people from going to the beach? Who is the body that's responsible with advising or issuing advisories as to, listen, this beach here has debris, we do not recommend anyone go in and swim. I know I saw it coming up from the Nature Foundation. Is that the way it's supposed to be? Is that something that they have been mandated to do? So we just want to make sure that the Ministry of Romy and Nature Foundation are on the same page. Also in the immediate aftermath, not necessarily of a major storm, let's say it could have been a tropical storm, or a category 1, for example, where the island itself, within a couple of days, we know how resilient our people is, and they can bounce back and open. But the beaches might still have debris, might still have damages, might still have wrecks that wash up even in a minor storm. What is the plan of approach from Romy in the immediate aftermath to go out and assess the beaches Who cleans them? Who repairs it? Is that an existing cleanup contracts? Is that the cleaning companies that maintain our districts? Are they also responsible for that in their existing contract, or do we have to now find additional funding or new contracts? How does ROMI handle that in the aftermath of the storm? Madam Chair, the last thing I would like to bring up, and this has been I think a healthy debate between the Minister of VSI and myself. I remember during the election there was literally a debate on television where we talked about who is responsible for relief goods coming into the country. I was a part at the time in the civil service of a audit and investigation that was being conducted by the SOAB into this, and understanding how much supplies came into the country and why so much of it never ultimately reached the people.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Wib now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
SXM, connecting you.
A lot has been said over the last year in terms of what was not well prepared for, what was not correct.
Because it's about the
for me, it was important to make sure that all the representative services were on the ESS. So one of the questions that I have in this regard is, are all the necessary services represented within the emergency services that are meeting now in planning and preparing for any event? Which entities are those, and who are the representatives on these committees? What are the roles that they will play, and who will be ultimately responsible for each sector? Will it be the head that has been nominated, the responsible minister, the prime minister, or the governor? I think we must be very, very clear in terms of what the roles each plays, because it is very sad at the end of the day for blame to be heaped on the head of a civil servant, when at the end of the day, there's so much talk about who is or is not responsible. So I would like it to be clear from the get-go, not just for us here in Parliament, but for the people of St. Martin that rely on us. There was also a lot of talk as to who is in charge during the state of emergency and when that is called. Has government determined what criteria is needed to call for a state of emergency, and how far in advance of an impending disaster or an expected disaster will this go into effect? When such is called, what does that mean for the people of St. Martin as well as for all of the services that are being rendered? So within healthcare, within education, within justice, whatever situation may be, what does a state of emergency mean for all? So this would be directed then whether to the General Affairs Minister or to each minister individually, Madam Chair. Communication was also touted as one of the major bottlenecks post-Hurricane Irma and Maria. What is the communication plan at this point? Has this been communicated to all involved? Particularly the communication between the justice chain, the military, and government was very, very challenging. Have improvements been brought about in terms of who is in charge of what, particularly in the justice chain, in terms of keeping the peace and maintaining law and order on the island? Especially seeing the shortage of manpower our local justice ministry is experiencing or has experienced over the past years. I know we've been having some assistance. Is that assistance still here? Are they ready on standby? From the Justice Ministry, I would like an explanation as to how that will be improved in the coming season and seasons. Have community emergency personnel been identified? I know one of the setbacks to the Ministry of DSR was not having enough personnel who would be able to man shelters and the like. Have persons within the community who were identified at that time and through which a lot of aid and assistance was given, have they been now appointed officially as community workers that are go-to persons within the different communities for the assessment of damage and needs within the community, as well as the necessary delivery of assistance in an orderly manner?
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
We delivered to the Ministry of Romy 3 cases of drawings for the new St. Martin General Hospital. So these are the revised design drawings based on post-Irma specifications. So all of the drawings have been completed. I was very impressed with the amount of work. I mean, they literally brought in 3 cases of drawings. So our Minister of Romy is not here, but he has promised, so he was there, number 1, with Charlene Pompier to receive the drawings. They have promised that they will do their best to expedite the processing of the building permits so that we hopefully can start the hospital before the end of the year. On a side note, you know, normally I don't like to comment on Melee, but This is a WhatsApp message that was circulating. Of course, this was circulating around elections, and I felt that there was no point addressing it because in election times, nobody ever believes what politicians have to say anyways. But this is a message that circulated again just recently, saying that Minister Lee has a family interest and that the contract for building of the hospital is going to be going to a family member. And I want to assure the public this process has been done extremely transparently. I have no personal financial interests. No family member has any financial interests. No construction interests. Have not, does not, and will not have any interest in the construction of the hospital in terms of the actual execution of the construction of the hospital. So there was a public tender process, just as a recap. There was a public tender process. All of those tenders were actually opened in the presence of the notary. As a matter of fact, all of those original bids are still in the safe of the notary, so that in the event someday, whenever, in the future, if there's ever a dispute, if the court wants to review the original tender documents, they are all there untouched by anyone from the ministry or within the health tripartite for anyone to review. As a matter of fact, the business plan, the construction plans, the tender documents, all of them have been reviewed by so many different people, including the World Bank. As you know, we've asked the World Bank to support with the financing of the hospital, and one of the criteria for the World Bank to participate in it was that it had to pass World Bank procurement procedures. So in other words, they reviewed the procurement procedures for the construction of the hospital to ensure that it was to transparent and international standards. They gave it a thumbs up, which allowed the review process for the grant proposal to continue. So again, I'd like to emphatically state, that these types of malicious rumors are unfounded and destructive, I think, for the integrity of government and for the community. So I wanted to just take the opportunity to clarify that.